Hey guys, my name is Dice Rollin, and I delve into the horror genre and drag back what I find for your entertainment. Today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new vampire novel that was written by one of the horror community's own. Poor Pretty Creature was written by Sierra Celine and was published on May 17th of this year. It's a story about a young woman named Lucy who, after a night out, wakes up in an unfamiliar place chained to a bed. Over the course of the following days, she must uncover what happened that led her to her current situation, who's keeping her here and why, and what she is now. So without further ado, this is my review of Poor Pretty Creature. Before we get into things, I would like to say thank you to Sierra for reaching out to me and giving me early access to her novel. I greatly appreciate the opportunity and to get a chance to review your book. I'm just a slow reader, so... I also want to point out that, of course, Poor Pretty Creature is available for purchase, either as an ebook or a physical copy. I'll have the links to it as well as Sierra's channel in the description down below, so do please check both of those out. Technically, if you've seen my series on some of the scariest Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes that I did last year, you have already met Sierra. I found Poor Pretty Creature to be pretty interesting because it's a different approach to a vampire-oriented novel. It starts off as feeling like a mystery that you have to uncover along with the main character. There are also LGBTQ plus elements woven throughout. Along with that, what I found interesting, and honestly pretty real, were the religious tones too. There are certain phrases and words that some of the characters use that I found myself reacting to like, aha. Concerning how Sierra wrapped things up in the climax of her book, I was quite satisfied with it. I really don't want to give spoilers or reveal too much, of course, but the questions I had about certain characters were answered in a solid fashion. One in particular, if you read the book I think you'll know who I mean, I was pleased with their resolution. Not every single definitive answer is handed to you as the reader, which I think is good. Just like in a movie, I don't want everything spelled out for me. I do like a bit of balance so the story isn't extremely vague, but it isn't highlighted and circled and underlined. The way the story is written feels full circle and satisfying. Sierra did something with her characters that I rather enjoyed and have also done in my own work, and that is that they're named after other characters from vampire books, and such as you will find through reading the book yourself. I mean, there's a woman named Mina. Lucy, being the main character, was quite easy to empathize with, at least to me. Not just because you feel just as confused and out of sorts as she does initially, but also because of a lot of the thoughts and such that she had throughout that I could see myself having. There's been a few times where I've tried to read a novel, and the character that you're supposed to see the world through and experience this with, I had trouble connecting with. That's not to say that that character was poorly written, it's just that I personally couldn't really relate to them, and unfortunately that's an element that can really hurt a novel. Lucy feels like the type of character that you can vicariously live this story through without much trouble. You have the side characters who are also well fleshed out. There are a couple of them that I feel like are pretty relatable in their own right. They're not one-dimensional and they come across as well developed in their personality and actions. You have Jonathan, who is written in such a way that you sometimes feel sorry for him. Sometimes he was an asshole and sometimes I was conflicted about how I wanted things to end for him. Poor Pretty Creature doesn't come across as utterly fantastic. It feels grounded in a way so that it feels like it could be real. I was kind of surprised and impressed that a large majority of the story takes place in one location. When Lucy is chained and trapped, essentially you can just feel the boredom and helplessness that she does. It's kind of a character exploration, and a more in-depth look at what exactly makes someone good or bad, or something in between. And it's all according to whose perspective you listen to. So that is another element that I like about this story. As Anthropomantic Fiend said in his review, there's a lot of morally gray areas that are explored. Just like any good horror work, there are a few things, character evolution-wise, that happened over the course of the story. You get to witness the character arc of Lucy, going from an uncertain kind of character who doesn't know how to take charge of her own life, to a strong and more confident person. Something else that I actually rather liked was how when Lucy was reading about these other vampires, in a journal format she could see them, hear them, and see what happened to them. I feel like that's a good representation of what being a reader is like, so it's also rather meta. Given that in my reviews I really try to give a good balance of pros and cons, even if it's down to my personal tastes, I didn't find Poor Pretty Creature to be difficult to read at all, and as someone who gets distracted pretty easily, that's points to Sierra. A handful of the last chapters I had a hard time stopping and putting the book away for the time being. I had a hard time trying to come up with cons. It might seem a little slow at the beginning for some readers. It doesn't give the reader a total happy ending. Personally, I am completely fine with that. I actually tend to prefer endings that don't go for the "and they all lived happily ever after, or tell you everything that happened. There are some things that are left up to you to fill in the blanks on, and again, I like that usually, but it may frustrate some people. I recommend Poor Pretty Creature to people who want to read a book with LGBTQ+ representation, vampire fans, people who like their novels with a female protagonist, and anyone who would like to read something a little different than other vampire-centered stories. The last thing that I want is for you guys to get the impression that the only reason I'm singing this novel's praises is because I know the person who wrote it, and I have a biased view on it. This is true to an extent, but I genuinely found Poor Pretty Creature to be very enjoyable, and it is well written, so do please check it out if it sounds like something you would be interested in, and help support a fellow creator. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like to let me know. Don't forget to leave a comment down below telling me what you think of this novel. You can support the channel through my Patreon, where you would get exclusive and early access to videos like this. Also, don't forget to share this video to help the channel grow, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you later.